Welcome to a very special series as I attempt to go inside TEW. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain a little bit as to what this series is about. See, as you all know, for about a year now, well, for more than a year, almost two actually, I have pretty much put this game, TEW 2016 or TEW 2013, this being 2013, on center stage on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, due to the How I Would Book It or Let's Play series that have inhabited the season. I mean the channel. For the longest time, it was always, I'll do the season from this point to that point, and then you guys never hear about the season again, even if I keep doing it, which, to be honest, as far as the Let's Plays go, or How I Would Book It go, it's usually just for the time span that I want the series to go, and then after that, it's over. Meaning I don't continue it after the fact. But I have done personal games, personal seasons in TEW, and this is one of them, and this is also partially the point of the series. The other point of the series is to give an inside view into not just my personal campaigns, but also, if I do choose to keep going with a Let's Play after the Let's Play is finished, then I will also give a glimpse into that for all you to see what happened as far as the Let's Plays go, to see what happened from the last time, from the last episode of the Let's Play to where we are now. Or even book a show for you in the Let's Play. Or in that season. As far as this one goes, because of the fact that you guys don't know anything about this is going to be more about detailing the series and also explaining a little bit about this season in particular, because as of course, I'm Eric Bischoff. Oh, wrong one. I have been doing this season for 6 years. I've been doing this season for 6 years and have 924 shows under my, or in my arsenal. And then you have Clash of the Champions 1995 as the best show. Ric Flair vs. Sting in October 1994 as a 99. 60,000 people attended Starrcade 1995. 59,550 attended Starrcade. Reputation doesn't matter. Highest buy rate thus far is Starrcade 1994, and the highest TV rating is 6.26 with Saturday Night in April 1997. Which is actually very recently, because it was actually Fuse. It was the last show. It was my last episode of Saturday Night. Which is kind of surprising, because here's the rating, and the main event got an 80. It was Vader versus Dean Malenko. Now let me go and show off some things. Here, my friends, is the highest attended WCW event in this database, or in this season, and it is Starrcade 1995, live from Foxborough Stadium. Yes, if you're a football fan, that is the home of the New England Patriots. as you can tell, Shawn Michaels and Tom Pritchard opened up the show. Yes, that's right. Shawn Michaels lost to Tom Pritchard. Just leave it at that, and I'll explain as I go. Or just leave it there, and I'll explain as I go. If the thing actually comes back. There it is. The television title, first, you see Big Bad and Dangerous, Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow, Eddie Guerrero winning the television title, the Steiners retaining the tag team titles, Dustin Rhodes defeating Ric Flair for the United States Heavyweight title. At this time, it was Sting and Diesel, and I believe I was leading to something with the Ultimate Warrior, but I don't know. I don't remember. Something along that line, though. And the main event was Steve Austin versus Ricky Steamboat for the WCW World Heavyweight title, which Steve Austin retained. By the way. Here we go. The reason why I'm gonna tie this all together. The reason why it's alright that Shawn Michaels lost to Tom Pritchard is simply put because if you know anything about TEW, you know that if the defenses are unknown, that means they had the title reign. Normally, that they had the title reign before you got into the season. I started this season in 1991 with Sting as World Heavyweight Champion, and 6.5 years later, Vader is incurring his first run with the belt at 40 years old. Vader is not just that, but he is also one of the most popular people in the company. Excuse me. He is also one of the most popular people in the company as World Heavyweight Champion. And if you can't see, Steve Austin, Eddie Guerrero, Sid Vicious, Lex Luger, Sting, Ric Flair. Ric Flair has not held the WCW World Heavyweight Championship since 1994. That's right, 3 years for the Nature Boy since he's held the world title. Since I've showed... let's start at the top. This is actually the reason why... Actually, I was going to say this is the reason why Ricky Steamboat got the title, but Ricky Steamboat didn't verse Steve Austin because he got the Battle Bowl Cup, because the Battle Bowl Cup wasn't around in 1997. If you don't know what the Battle Bowl is, then I suggest looking up old WCW events, because the Battle Bowl was the WCW's November pay-per-view prior to World War III. And as you can tell, I did it in 1993 and then killed it off and brought it back in 1996. Yes, that means that Terry Funk was the one who got the world title shot at Starrcade in 1996. And also main evented Starrcade against Vader. I guess the notoriety of the idea behind the North American title, it really does not have any idea outside of just giving me a mid-card title to use as I slowly but surely bring this title down to the mid-card level. But as of right now, this is the mid-card title. And will be for at least another year or two. I don't know what I'm going to do when that title's gone. Hopefully the television title will be at a lower status. I'll get to why Eddie Guerrero is both the United States and North American champion eventually. Yes, this is Crowbar. I'm not going to... Well, look. I'm not going to get into the crazy history of this title. And I say crazy history because, look, it started in 1991 Owen kept the title till 92. No. Here's the crazy history. Right here. Owen won the title in April 93 from the Avatar, which, if you don't know who the Avatar is, that's Al Snow. One of his old gimmicks before he became Al Snow. And then a year later, and I didn't even pay attention to it. I had no idea that it was actually a year after that. But either way, Owen Hart got the title vacated, the title became retired, and then it was brought out of retirement to give to Rob Van Dam, and then I retired it again. But the difference between me retiring at this time, it wasn't actually the light heavyweight title didn't come back. Up until 1995, when Rob Van Dam lost the title, it was called the WCW World Light Heavyweight title. When I brought it back to give it to Chris Benoit, or had Chris Benoit win it, I changed the name and made it the Cruiserweight title. Because Chris defeated them, Chavo and Ultimo Dragon, I believe, in a number one contender in a tournament. I don't remember, though. I could be wrong. And then, Brad Armstrong, Chris Benoit, Hector, Chris Jericho, Ultimo Dragon, Chris Daniels, Chavo, Nunzio, or Little Guido, Chavo, Ultimo Dragon, and Chris Daniels, and now Devin Storm, who was brought in earlier in the year, is the Cruiserweight Champion. As we went over earlier, Vader is in his first run with the belt. He has actually been with me this entire run. Where is it? Right here. Vader was with WCW in 1991, and he has not left since 1991. So he, along with a few other people, are among the only people that have been with me from the start of the game. And by the start of the game, I do not mean in 1991. I mean they were on my roster when the game started. Speaking of people that have been with me a long time, Stevie Ray and Booker T. Arn Anderson. I'll go back to the tag team division. The reason why I want to talk about this is if you look how it started, I had Muda coming on loan, and then he dropped the belt to Dustin Rhodes, I believe. Either that or Dustin won the belt. But the reason why I bring this up is because that's the last time, before he won the United States title, that Dustin Rhodes would win a singles championship. Because soon after that, Dustin would actually turn heel. Then, you see Shane Douglas, Eddie Guerrero, Paul Orndorff had a very long run with the title from September 92 to April 93. Then I had Shane Douglas, Diamond Dallas, Scotty Flamingo, who, if you don't know, is Raven, or would become Raven, Steve Austin, Rick Steiner held the belt for a bit, so both Steiner brothers have actually held the television title. And Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero traded the title last year. And actually, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and Barry Windham would compete in the first ever WCW triple threat match for the television title. And I believe, it was Great American Bash. And then they would trade the title for the remainder of the year before Dean would lose the title to Arn at the early point of this year, because I have big plans for Arn dropping the belt. The reason, now to jump backwards, the reason why Dustin would not win another singles title is because Dustin Rhodes and Matt Bourne would actually become tag team champions. And I put Dustin Rhodes in the tag team division. Also, if you could see, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson and the Midnight Express were my favorite tag teams early on. And then it became the Texas Outlaws, a.k.a. Dustin Rhodes and Matt Bourne. Three-time champions. Louis and Bobby Eaton. 4-time champions. And surprisingly, the reason why I wanted to talk about the tag team division last is because, don't ignore these, they became a team on the indies. That's why I put them in the tag team division. Yes, that is Louis Spicolli. Yes, that is Louis Spicolli. Terry Funk and Mankind. This was the first time in 4 years as a team that Harlem Heat became the tag team champions. And the only reason why Harlem Heat are the tag team champions is because Stevie Ray is on Time Decline. If you don't know what Time Decline is, you've never played TEW. Jobber tag team. These two became a team because Rob Van Dam had nothing else better to do. Meaning he was just wallowing away on the roster, and instead of basically releasing him for having nothing for him, I put him together with Jerry Lynn. Yes, this could lead to Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam in a feud, because it's been a while since Rob has been a heel, but I don't know what the future holds right now as far as them breaking up, so that means they're going to stay together. The Cole Twins, if you don't know the Cole Twins, just look up early 1990s WCW. They were basically WCW's jobber go-to tag team, or go-to jobber tag team. The Eliminators, I don't know what the future holds for them as a tag team. Right now, they're just a play. They're actually feuding with Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn, and will likely win the feud because they're an established tag team and have not been used like an established tag team over the last couple of years. The Nasty Boys, Public Enemy. I brought the Rock and Roll Express back. You'll see in a second why. The Steiner Brothers, they came back and are, I want to say they came back last year, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I want to say they came back last year, but I'm not sure. The Rock and Roll Express, the Un-Americans, Steven Regal and Edward Gibson. If you don't know who Edward Gibson is, it's because I made him up. It is actually WCW's former jobber Joey Maggs, who I was always a fan of, but I felt like he never got the right opportunity, so I changed his. I basically gave him the Bobby Eaton gimmick. But instead of making him a blue blood and making, Regal teach him manners and all that crap, I changed his name and made him look like an Englishman, or made him sound like an Englishman. I sent him away, brought him back, gave him an English accent, told him to talk with an English accent, and now he's with Steven Regal and Dave Taylor. So, I actually stole Shawn Michaels away from the WWE. Why? Because HBK, up until while he was with the WWE, was nothing more than a mid-carder. With me, I've pushed him straight to the moon because I know what HBK has to offer. Why has HBK never won the world title? Well, simple. He's a United States champion, he's a North American champion. If I had done it the way I was planning to do it, HBK would have been world champion within a year. Why was I thinking about it the other way? It's because HBK didn't even win a title with the WWE, as you can see. So I thought him winning the title right away with me would make my company look bad. Yes, I know. Oh, it's just a video game. It's just a. I'm slowing down his push. I'm taking the time to push him the right way, and how I'm doing that is this way. this is the reason why Eddie Guerrero is the United States and North American champion. It is because Eddie Guerrero is feuding with Brian Pillman in a best-of-7 series over the United States and North American title, because as you can see, best-of-7 unification, mediocrity, undeserving, forgotten. Basically, the North American title has had a lackluster run, and recently so has the United States title, and that is why I put together a unification match between Eddie Guerrero and Brian Pillman, where one title will survive and the other title will go away. Right now, Eddie has 1 win. Brian Pillman's up 2-1 in the series. Yeah, so let me know down in the comment section below who do you think should win the best-of-7 series? Should the former world champion Eddie Guerrero or Brian Pillman? Cactus Jack turns dark. I'll get back to that. Dean Malenko versus the First Family. This is basically because Dean Malenko and the Nasty Boys and Jimmy Hart all were doing nothing. Yes, Dean had his feud with Arn Anderson, but his feud with Arn Anderson started last year and went till the early part of this year, and after that he had nothing, and because he was one of my most popular guys, I couldn't let that happen. So I put Dean in a feud with Jimmy Hart's newly formed stable, the First Family. And the same reason goes for the Nasty Boys. Now I'll go back up to the Cactus feud. Fact of the matter is, this is the longest feud that I have, and will also go the longest, because the plan is set in stone that the feud will not end until early next year, because the feud started... did I start the feud the right way? Yeah. The feud started with Kevin Sullivan returning to the WCW by blinding Cactus Jack. From out of nowhere. And then Terry Funk runs in because he's helping his tag team partner and his protege by saving him from Kevin Sullivan and helping him out because he was just blinded. And then we find out that Eric Bischoff suspended Kevin Sullivan for the blinding of Cactus Jack. And then as the months go by, Anthony Durant joins the feud because he thinks that well, Terry Funk should focus on wrestling and stop crying over the fact that Cactus Jack is out of the way. And he basically said that if you want to focus on Cactus, maybe I'll take you out so you can be in the bed next to him. And this led to a short feud between Terry Funk and Anthony Durant, which came to a head at the first pay-per-view, and Terry Funk won, but Terry Funk was later ambushed, and it became official that Kevin Sullivan and Anthony Durant would join up together. And then they were aided by the Texas Tornado. Yes, if you think you know who the Texas Tornado is, it's because you probably do. I will tell you that the Texas Tornado is Kerry Von Erich. And then because Cactus was still healing from his injury, Steve Austin jumped in to help the veteran Terry Funk because Steve is a student of the game and he wanted to stand up for the legend. And this is how Steve turned babyface. Yes, I know, Steve Austin's a loner, blah 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 blah. That part of Steve Austin's character has not been built up yet. This was a babyface turn. Also, if you don't know, Steve Austin is good friends with Mick Foley, so I don't know, maybe a little bit of reality got thrown into this by thrusting Steve Austin into this segment, or into this, and then it led to a 3-on-2 handicap match, but of course, with the hatred, with the tension, with the buildup of the feud, the match couldn't happen. So it got thrown out. It was a draw. And then Mick Foley runs in. Mick Foley returns as Mankind, and it's a 3-on-3 brawl, a 6-man brawl at I believe it was the last pay-per-view. But either way, so Mankind comes back, and yes, this whole thing, this whole blinding angle was just an elaborate way to bring in Mankind, to introduce Mankind and repackage Mick Foley as from his Cactus Jack incarnation, to give us all a break from Cactus Jack and bring in Mankind, another face of Foley, because up until now, Mankind, or Mick Foley rather, had just been Cactus Jack and nothing else. So yes, this is an elaborate way to introduce Mankind and also turn Mick Foley heel. Nothing much to this feud outside of this surprising heat on the feud. I mentioned this feud earlier. This is the reason actually why the Rock and Roll Express are back, because the investor, a manager, brought on the Rock and Roll Express, basically saying that money can make anyone do something for one more shot at the spotlight. That's how he got Rock and Roll Express back into the WCW, because he's giving them one more shot at the spotlight and one more opportunity to challenge for the tag team titles. But after defeating the Texas Outlaws and making it where Dustin Rhodes and Matt Bourne cannot team together anymore, Jim Cornette feels the Eaton brothers deserve the tag team title shot and not the Rock and Roll Express. So this is an interesting dynamic in the tag team division and bringing new life to the division, because Harlem Heat have been on a hot streak since winning the belts, and also so have the Eaton brothers, and also legends like the Rock and Roll Express always draw a crowd. I believe I discussed this earlier. Shawn Michaels reformed the Rockers with Marty to go up against the Steiner brothers. This is the world title feud, which will later include Ric Flair, but right now it just includes Barry Windham, and actually, I forgot about him, also includes the guy I got on loan from All Japan in Stan Hansen. And finally, this is where we end this episode of Inside TEW, as at the end of last year, in December to be exact, I can't remember if it was at Starrcade or a show, the lights went down and Roddy Piper got attacked. And the rumors were flying. Who attacked Roddy Piper? Who attacked Roddy Piper? Who could have attacked the Hot Rod? Why did somebody attack Hot Rod Roddy Piper? Well, to begin the year, I was having Mike Today interview various members of the WCW roster, including Chris Jericho. And on the last interview segment with Chris, he revealed that he was the one who attacked Roddy Piper, which sparked a feud with Ric Flair between Jericho and Flair. And then this has led all the way up after Roddy Piper finally returned in February to screw Chris Jericho out of the match with Ric Flair. Actually, no. He didn't return here. Sorry. Piper returned here, and then Piper was assigned as a special referee for Jericho's television title shot against Arn Anderson, which obviously Piper screwed Jericho out of. And now we are heading to Slamboree this Sunday night, the first meeting between Hot Rod Roddy Piper and the up-and-comer Chris Jericho. And yes, I am aware that Y2J has yet to win a major match because he fell victim to both Ric Flair twice and Arn Anderson on pay-per-view, so he's come up short the last 2 pay-per-views. But after nothing thus far in his career, after basically peaking thus far, and having very little, I don't want to say very little going on, not very much on the major side of things going on. Now, it's just the rub that he's getting from being in the ring with Arn Anderson, from being in the ring with Ric Flair, and taking both men to their limits, and actually defeating and holding a victory over the Nature Boy and over Terry Funk, even though it was Anthony Durant who actually won the tag team match. But still, this is the push of Jericho. And it starts this Sunday at Slamboree when he goes one-on-one with Roddy Piper for the very first time since he attacked Piper in December of last year. So, with that being said, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comment section below. First, would you like to see me book Slamboree on camera, or would you rather just have me come back later on in the year? Maybe. Oh, I apologize. It's actually Spring Stampede. Would you like me to book Spring Stampede on camera so you can see what matches, the matches that are being built up, and a little bit more of this personal season, including a 3-way tag team match between the Rock and Roll Express, Harlem Heat, and the Eaton Brothers for the tag team titles, Jericho versus Piper, Vader versus Barry Windham for the WCW World title, the Rockers versus the Steiners in their first meeting, and much more that will take place this Sunday on pay-per-view. Or would you rather just have me come back later on in the year to give you all an update on what's happening now in WCW? You can let me know that, but also let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this series. Because I know it was basically just me going over what's going on in this series and what has happened thus far in the last 6.5 years of this season. Can you imagine if I went over the one I've been doing for 10 years? Man, it wouldn't be 30 minutes. But either way, if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. I will get this outro right eventually. Maybe I'll just write it down. Who knows? But for this edition of Inside TEW, that's it, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.